In previous videos, we looked at essential cognitive processing, which happens during the initial stages of learning, when learners try to build mental representations of new information. During this stage, we want to reduce as much extraneous information as we can and minimize anything that would lead to overloading their visual and auditory channels. Generative cognitive processing is when learners organize new material into coherent structures and connect it with their prior knowledge. This is a crucial step of learning. However, sometimes generative processing doesn't happen even when learners have the capacity to do so. This and the next few videos will look at why this might happen and what we can do about it. Before we talk about the personalization principle, it helps to think of learning as a social event. Even when you're alone and reading a book, going through an online tutorial, or playing a game, you're having an implied conversation with the author, instructor, or game designer. The personalization principle builds on the social agency theory, which states that social cues, such as a more conversational style and multimedia messages, can prompt a social response in learners, increasing their active cognitive processing and thereby increasing the quality of the learning outcome. On the flip side, instructional messages without social cues will not activate a social response, leading to no increase in cognitive processing or improved learning. The personalization principle recommends that we pick a more conversational, friendly, and polite tone when we present new information, instead of a formal academic tone. For example, instead of saying, "Cool, moist air moves over a warmer surface and becomes heated," the personalization principle recommends that you say, "Suppose you are standing outside and feeling the sun's rays heating up around you." By saying you and I instead of third-person constructions, and by directing your comments to the learner, you make the material more personal to the learner. So, how much can personalization really help? One set of studies showed that personalization improved learning outcomes regardless of whether it was in the form of narration or on-screen text. It also worked when an on-screen agent, in this case an animated bug, was used to teach the lesson. The personalization effect was seen in both a computer game and a VR environment. Another set of studies looked specifically at changing the to your. Even with this minor change, the personalization effect was found, with effect sizes ranging from 0.52 to 1.00. Finally, some studies looked at the personalization effect in the form of politeness. In an engineering lesson centered around saving a factory, the on-screen tutor prompted one group using direct wording like, "Save the factory now," and another group with more polite phrasing like, "Do you want to save the factory now?" Learners with a polite tutor performed substantially better with an effect size of 0.71. There are a few exceptions to the personalization principle. The personalization effect was most noticeable when the lessons were short, ideally around 5 minutes or less. The personalization effect was also more pronounced in learners with low prior knowledge, perhaps because students with higher prior knowledge don't need social bonding to engage in deeper processing. Overdoing personalization can also be counterproductive, such as including too many phrases like, "Now I'm going to tell you all about this topic." Overusing phrases like this could become distracting. Finally, personalization might not work on students learning the material in a second language, as they may not pick up the attempts at personalization or politeness. If you want to personalize your multimedia presentations, a simple way to start is to use more first and second person constructions like I, you, and we, instead of the more formal third person. You can also phrase directions, feedback, and comments in a more polite manner. Personalization seems to work in both paper-based and computer-based settings, so even if you're not narrating over images, you can still personalize text. As long as you don't overdo it, personalization should help your learners become more engaged and interested in the topic.